Welcome into Getting Help from Uncle Sam. If you've watched this show over the years, what we tell our viewers is that you've got representatives and you've got senators that basically represent you in the legislature. We also tell you if you want to talk to those people, the best time is when they're not in session, because they do have a little bit more time then. Today we have with us Senator Will Barfoot, District 25. Something very interesting that I think, because I've looked at legislative sessions over the years, there's probably more controversial type of bills that are starting to come up than ever before I've seen in my life. And basically your main job is to pass the budgets.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
And then, then throw in a few laws. How many different bills were brought up in the Senate this year?
I think we had somewhere around 700-800 that were actually filed. And when you think about that number, constitutionally, we have 30 legislative days in a regular session that have to be taken care of within 105 calendar days.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a short time period, those 30 legislative days, which can be good, right?
Yes, amen.
So sometimes, we talked about it earlier. President Reagan, the 9 most feared words in the English language are "I'm from the government and I'm here to help," and there's some truth to that.
Absolutely.
So, but yeah, there was a lot of bills. And of course, last session, the session in 2020 was cut short because of COVID, and so there was kind of a bottleneck of bills that were left kind of on the vine there, and then of course 21.
But you got a lot of things accomplished.
We did.
And I think this year, this session, 2021, it seems like everything moved pretty well in the Senate, did it not?
It did. And one of the things that I think I was extremely proud of is we passed some pretty substantial election laws banning curbside voting. I think that's important.
Very important.
Very important. We also, believe it or not, we had to have a law on the books that we passed this session that made it illegal to vote in another state and vote in Alabama as well. You would have thought that would have already been illegal, right?
That should have been a duh.
Should have been a duh, that's right.
Yeah.
But we got that accomplished. And then here locally, one of the things that I'm extremely proud of is I handled several military bills.
Yes.
Which are very important in Montgomery. The BRAC Commission, Base Realignment and Closure Commission, will look at a whole host of different things as to whether or not they're going to close down different bases. Education is one of them. So we actually passed a law that allowed for a charter school within a mile of the military base, and that's a big help for Maxwell.
Absolutely. And of course, the big thing you guys did too is passing laws that say that if a person happens to be a nurse in Colorado, and she doesn't have to go through he or she, that it's a reciprocal thing.
Reciprocity was a big portion of that checklist that the military wanted to see. We got that done, and with the help of Lieutenant Governor Ainsworth kind of leading the calls on that, we were able to pass a lot of those bills that will help our military personnel and become, make sure that we're a military-friendly state, which is extremely important.
What things in this session that didn't go anywhere would you like to see go somewhere? And are we going to have to go to a special session? I know we're going to have to do it for reapportionment.
Right.
Or some form of that.
Yeah, we will, and I suspect that reapportionment, we'll have to wait on the complete census numbers.
Yes,
We're thinking sometime early fall, maybe we'll have those numbers. That'll be a special for that purpose, and of course every 10 years redraw those lines.
Right.
That'll be a big deal.
And this is the 10th year.
This is the 10th year, so we got to get that done.
Amen.
And then there is the chance that we'll have a special session on prison issues, possibly. I remember the governor at her inaugural address said, it's an Alabama problem, we need an Alabama solution.
Yes.
I completely agree with that. We may differ on what that solution should have been, but we certainly need an Alabama solution. We don't need the federal government coming here telling us what we need to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Then of course, gambling went nowhere. It came out of the Senate. Somebody say that, and I say it went nowhere. Then it kind of stalled in the House. And I think that was kind of when I talk to people about gambling, because I'm affiliated with some things with problem gambling, when you think of the lottery, this is the lottery, but this is gambling.
Sure.
I mean, there's more facets to it, and I know people were disappointed. They said, we didn't get a lottery bill, but you guys need to once and for all just, I think, look at the whole deal.
Yeah, and that certainly happened. 2 years ago, lottery passed the Senate.
Right.
went nowhere in the House. This year, the comprehensive gambling bill passed the Senate ultimately, and with some major modifications
Yes.
that myself and actually several other senators were very involved in making sure that, you know, the criminal aspect of it, the contribution aspect of it were as tight as they could be. We sent it to the House, and there it didn't get a vote. Ultimately, as you know, the Constitution of 1901 prohibits games of chance.
Right.
The problem with that is that since 1901, there's been 18 some odd amendments.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so there's a hodgepodge of legal operations going on in the state
Oh, yeah.
pursuant to those amendments, and then of course lots of illegal gambling that continues.
And, you know, 30 years ago, it was a handful of things. Now, it's exploded. It's all over the
Absolutely,
place. So.
that's true.
Well, listen, thank you for the great work you're doing.
Thank you,
We
sir.
keep following you.
Thank you.
We keep looking to see which way you're going on things, and you do a great job in representing your constituents.
Thank you. I've
And if you
enjoyed it.
need to come back and talk to us about anything that's going on, feel free.
I'll take you up on that. I've
Yeah.
enjoyed my conversation with you and with the folks watching on TV.
Great. And just remember this, as we mentioned earlier, when the senators and representatives are not in session, that's the best time. Let them know your thoughts. Obviously, they're there to represent you. Realize this, though, they're not full-time people doing these jobs. They've got to do other jobs, but they're very sensitive about getting back to their constituents. And we'll be right back right after this.